This one is entitled How to Write a Custom XI Plugin and Wizards. It's going to be a hands-on workshop, so let's give Laura all of our attention and a big round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. So who here is interested in plugins? Okay, how about wizards? Okay, I guess that's enough. We'll stick with this presentation. Both topics is a lot to cover, and so I'm going to go through this very quickly so that we have time for the hands-on part. So to start off with, I've been here at Nagios for about 5 years. I've got a few decades of experience developing software with several different languages. So I'll go really quickly over what's required for a plugin, and then a little more deeply on developing a wizard, and then we'll get into the hands-on, which is more the nitty-gritty anyway. So for plugins, all you have to have is a script or executable that will run on your XI server. So a few examples of that would be Bash, Perl, PHP, Python, C++. Basically, whatever you want to use, it just has to use the Nagios plugins format. And so all that's required is it has to exit with the return code that core will recognize and one line of readable text for the humans to use. So for the return codes, 0 through 3 are acceptable. 0 is okay, 1 is a warning, 2 is critical, and 3 is any unknown condition that you just really don't know how to handle. The output that you can do, it can be as simple as an okay, or you can do something a little more useful, like what your free space is and percentages and things like that, whatever works the best for you. So originally I was going to walk everybody through how to write a plugin, but that is a little time consuming. So what I did is I created a plugin using a question from our support forum. The user wanted to use the system control command and use it as a plugin. So if you want to download the plugin, it is available at 10.10.202.119, along with the notes from this presentation. And these are a few guidelines that are very helpful for writing plugins, especially the top 2. And if you want performance data, the third is very helpful. Okay, developing a wizard. So wizards are basically just applications that walk users through how to enter data. And it has subsequent steps. A lot of times you collect a certain amount of data on one step, move on to the second step, and then you might use that data to get the user to enter more stuff or provide information for the user to look at. So for XI, wizards are basically used to create host and service checks easily. So all the wizards, they live under your Nagios XI directory, so user local Nagios XI. And then they're under HTML includes config wizards. So the basic way we've always had people start, including developers here, is you take a wizard that's maybe similar to what you want to create, has same number of fields on the first page or something like that, and you make a copy of it. So, and I would recommend that you might even want to work from this config wizards directory, just make a copy. So in my case, I used the DHCP wizard, and I just made a copy of it, and I named the new wizard service state. So this is the directory structure of the DHCP wizard. And then there's a few things that have to be changed. All the wizards, whatever the directory name is, there's an include file, a PHP include file, that needs to have the same name. So in this case, service state and service state inc.php. So just doing a side-by-side comparison so you can see what I changed. The logo can be any name you want it to be. I just named it service state, so it made sense. One thing I noticed when I was using this wizard was where does the plugin go? Well, that's because the DHCP wizard uses a built-in plugin. So I ended up copying a couple of things from another wizard. One of those is templates. So I copied that from the MS SQL server. And feel free to dig around and find whatever you need when you're setting this kind of stuff up. So I renamed the template file to servicestate.config. And I also, Oh, and I also had to make a copy of the config.xml file, because the one for the DHCP wizard did not have all of the entries that were required for this new wizard. Also had to make a plugins directory because there wasn't one. And then I copied my service state plugin into that directory. So now with the new couple of directories in there, we've got the plugin and the templates, and just change the names to make sense, and also the config file. So with the template, what you'll want to do is change the names to the appropriate things. In this case, this wizard's a little different. It has a 2 on the end of a couple of the names, which normally don't matter. So here's the side-by-side comparison. Once I did the updates. So the plugin name is defined in the command. I named the check service state instead of MS SQL server, and so on. This is the config file I also ended up copying over because the DHCP config file only had the logo in it. And we also need to list the template file and the plugin. So this is how it was modified then. There is a changelog file, which, of course, since it's your own code, you don't necessarily have to maintain, but it can be nice in case changes are made over time. So the standard is to basically delete everything and just add one entry. So I just removed everything that was on the left and made a simple 1.0.0 entry. So getting into the deep water here. This is the include file that I copied from the DHCP wizard. And you'll see there's several places. Basically, you just need to go through and change everywhere it says DHCP to service state. And then you'll also notice that there is this array here with a bunch of information like name and version and some descriptive things. A lot of these descriptions are used in the search on the main wizard page. So here is a side-by-side of what I changed. The filter groups on here is what the search page for the wizards will use. So anytime you search for Linux, it'll bring this one up in the list of wizards. The include file for the configuration wizards has a bunch of stages defined. So everybody, I think, is really familiar with step 1 and step 2. You may or may not go through 3, 4, 5. You may just go right to applying the wizard after the first couple of steps. So mostly what anybody will ever change is step 1 and step 2. And so here you just want to make sure you're passing data from step to step. Get stage 1 HTML is what will set up the first form. And then when you submit it, it runs through the validate code. And the same for step 2. The only other thing you really need to touch is the config wizard mode get objects. So usually at the very bottom of the wizard. And this is where you're actually telling the code how to create your hosts and services. Do you actually have to install the wizard to test it? No. You do not have to zip it up and install it. You can actually, as long as you have your directory in the config wizards directory, you can search for your wizard, find it, and run it right through XI. Once you're ready to actually try applying it, those final steps, then you'll want to zip it up, upload it, and install it. So you'll see I've got this, I started searching for service state, and it pulled it right up to the top. The icon is missing, and it will be until you actually install it. So step 1 and step 2, they're very similar. You just need to make sure that you're collecting the data that you need and that everything that you want to validate is getting validated. And when you do go to install your wizard, all you have to do is zip it up. And then in the admin system extensions manage config wizards, there's a page, or that is the page, where you can upload your file. So you just use the browse, select your file, and then click the little upload button. Once you run through and test it, and what's nice about not installing it to begin with is you can sit there and reload step 1, step 2, and adjust whatever you need to adjust as many times as you want without actually having to upload it. But once you do upload it, you want to make sure you can get all the way through successfully. If you don't, then you have to go back and do a little bit of debugging work. There's a couple of wizard documents that are useful or might be helpful. And that's it. So the rest of the time is for hands-on work, any other questions you would like. And I believe we have a list of VMs that are available. Are we ready with that?
Yes. So what we've done is we've spun up 10 XI VMs and 10 NNA VMs, basically one for each desk here that has monitors. If we need more, if there's more people that want to play with them, then we have desks. I'm sure we can get more spun up in short order. But we have these templated so we can wipe these, we can revert these. You can't really break anything. These are machines that you can either poke around the interface on, we'll give you SSH credentials, you can SSH in, you can try and make things on the fly. Typically, throughout these workshops, the devs will be sitting here in the center, so you can find us easily. You can ask us questions, whatever you want, on anything. It doesn't have to be pertaining to the workshop, kind of an open forum. But we do have the VMs. I'm going to print off sheets of paper and set them on each desk. Those will be the creds. Again, if we don't have enough, we'll get more spun up, and we'll get those creds out after.
So not right now? Or?
In moments.
Oh, in moments. Okay. Okay.
I'm going to go for right now.
Any questions so far? For my example plugin, yeah.
Yeah. So we download right now for the lab, or
You certainly can if you want to, yeah.
okay, but we have to. That's my question.
Or you can create your
in
own.
Print the sheet that he's going to print. We're going to have all the instructions, or
What he is going to bring are IP addresses for VMs that you can do your
Test.
development work on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the first time we're doing that, so this is probably going to be a little clunky. But
okay.
The idea is that so you actually work on the VM and create a plugin or create a wizard.
Okay, and the download is for the lab, or is just for us to have it as an example?
Either way.
Okay.
And at that address is also the zip of the wizard I made. It is not fully tested, but it is something you can start with if you want to, unless you have something else in mind. And also the PowerPoint presentation, so you can have access to all the links that were included. And if you have any other questions we can't answer to, we'll get your information and we'll follow up too. So. Any other questions or? Okay. So what do people have in mind for like a plugin or a wizard to work on? Yes.
In which cases we would need to build either a wizard or a plugin?
Usually people build plugins because they have a need that they can't find exactly what they want that somebody else has already created. Like in the example I was giving, the user I was talking about, and he wanted to be able to use the system control command to get the information that he wanted to monitor. And so you can build a plugin from something as simple as that. Or like some of the built-in ones, there's like ping and things like that have already been created. We've got plugins for Kubernetes, DHCP, various switch and router implementations and things like that. It's pretty much, it's vast, so it's whatever you need to monitor.
And for example, if we would need to copy one of them because it's very similar to the need we have, we just copy one folder, or there are so many components that we have to copy separate for the plugin?
For the plugin?
Or the wizard?
For the plugins, we have what we've created, and then this morning Ethan was talking about the Nagios Exchange. That's another place you can find plugins. Sometimes that's a good place to start. You find something similar to what you want, copy it, change it the way you need it, and it's yours. You just.
But the final product when you finish making the wizard or the plugin is one file.
The plugins are usually one file.
Yeah, but
they not necessarily.
Especially, I've never worked with like creating a wizard.
Right.
So
it's a directory. We just have a mechanism of installing it by zipping it up, and then uploading it that way. But yeah, it's just a directory structure with a bunch of files in it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, can we get anybody started with virtual machines or?
Yeah, there are now the papers I handed out. You see 2 IDs, one for XI, one for NNA for label. There's interface.
There's interface credentials. I think all user and passwords are Nagios admin, and then the SSH creds are there. You can log in as root, as it says on the sheet. These are sandboxes. You can do whatever you want to these. You can destroy them. We'll revert them. You can destroy them again. It's all good environments for you guys to poke around in.
No hacking the mainframe, please.
You just watched a presentation from the 2025 Nagios World Conference. If you'd like to learn more about future conferences, go to nagios.com/conference. So many things happen here in person, and we would love it if you visited our headquarters in St. Paul, Minnesota. While you're on our channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? So much Nagios content is constantly being created. Thanks for watching.